Well, the 2019 NBA season is wrapped up, and what a doozy, am I right, guys? The 2020-2021 season is approaching, meaning free agency is coming, and a number of stars will look to cash in one way or another. And in the player empowerment era, is it too brash to say that anything can happen? Hola amigos, welcome to Takes in Fuego. Today we take a look at the upcoming free agency class and why the 2020 class will be different than any other class before it. The timeline is still to be determined. While originally scheduled for October 18th, the first date of free agency is rumored to be pushed back to at least December. This is because the entire 2020-2021 season might be more like the 2021 season. NBA owners look at it like, you're saying we could have fans come around like March or so next year, so then we start in March. It's a pretty straightforward business decision. It should be noted this is not the strongest free agent class as far as superstars. In fact, there's only one player that I would consider a superstar that's up for free agency, and perhaps one more that may turn into a superstar in their career. But there's a large number of good, talented players that could be a solid addition to title contenders, and it is relatively high and solid, dependable role players that may make next season's teams look very different than this season's. The cap situation is a work in progress. The NBA hit record lows in viewership and had no fans in the stands, and despite what Mark Cuban says, that has to be a hit to the NBA long term for what will happen to the salary cap. But we will see if the league rebounds next year. What's been proposed so far is to keep the cap artificially high next year, which would make teams on the books for several max contracts already not be punished and allow for players entering free agency to get what they would be worth last year. If cap space ends up being a thing that exists, the teams most likely to make a move on some of these players, the teams with the most cap space entering next year, are the Atlanta Hawks, New York Knicks, and the Detroit Pistons. Although Miami is up there too, being they have so many players entering free agency. So what players are the big movers for this year? Let's take a look at them. The Milwaukee Bucks could look quite different around Giannis next year. Being Giannis will be up for free agency himself soon, I'm guessing they'll do what it takes to keep a contending roster. With that being said, Lopez and Wesley Matthews both have player options, and they both may have played themselves into bigger contracts. And Korver and Connaughton are both unrestricted free agents and will test the market themselves. There are two big name player options that may opt into their nearly $30 million contracts next year, or maybe they will test the market and see if anyone is willing to give them a long-term deal. Andre Drummond of the Cavs is up for free agency, who maybe the Cavs want. Who knows what the Cavs are doing these days. And DeMar DeRozan is up, who the Spurs probably want due to his high volume of mid-range shots. There are also a number of players who could be a solid role player on a title team and could play on different teams next year. Davis Bertans on the Wizards may take his 41% three-point percentage to another team next year. Jordan Clarkson has already been a role player on a few title contending teams. He will be an unrestricted free agent. And Bogdan Bogdanovic, not to be confused with Bojan Bogdanovic or Boban Marjanovic, could be a nice three-point shooting piece on a new NBA team as well. He will be a restricted free agent. Oklahoma City has 9 players set to be free agents this year, which is good because they have 29 draft picks in this year's draft or something like that. Robertson, Nerlens Noel, and perhaps most important, Gallinari are set to be unrestricted free agents. Out of Houston, Mike D'Antoni will be looking for a new home, so perhaps your team could institute the one-man dribbling, four-men standing offense. And perhaps the most interesting player in the class, not named Anthony Davis, will be a restricted free agent and will almost certainly get his max contract worth, Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans. Last year, he made the All-Star team for the first time, improved his three-point percentage by 6 percentage points, and improved 6 points per game, and by 1 rebound and 1 assist per game. Nearly every title contender may have some big movements next year. In the city of Boston, Hayward has a $34 million player option, which he will almost certainly pick up, and Taco Fall is a restricted free agent, so he may be taking his talents elsewhere. Denver may lose Millsap and Plumlee as unrestricted free agents, and Jeremy Grant has a player option, but may have just played himself into a bigger contract. Toronto has Gasol, Ibaka, and Van Vliet all as unrestricted free agents next year. Losing any of these players could be a big blow to their contention. The Clippers have 3 big names as unrestricted free agents too, with Morris, Harrell, and Reggie Jackson. The team that might look the most different is Miami, who has 9 players on the roster up for free agency, most notably Goran Dragic and Jay Crowder as unrestricted free agents and Olynyk as a player option which he may choose to pick up. The team that has potential to look the most different is our 2020 champion, Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers have 5 players on a player option, including KCP, Bradley, McGee, and Rondo, and 6 more players will test free agency, including Howard, Morris, and Dion Waiters. But the up and away most valuable player entering free agency with a player option and is worth a new max contract for sure is Anthony Davis. I think it would be fitting for the player empowerment era for a star to force his way out of a team, making his new team give up 3 draft picks and 3 young players, win a championship, and bounce to New York City, which Anthony Davis had on his list of teams he wanted to go to when he requested a trade. Hearsay can be truth, or it can just be hearsay. Well, hearsay is no one thinks Anthony Davis coming back is an absolute slam dunk. Not 100% at least. But leaving LeBron and coming off that title will certainly be hard to leave. In my head, I'd be shocked if LeBron and AD don't end up max contract players on the Lakers for the next 5 years. So who makes some big moves? What's your team do with any of these players? Let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe for more NBA hearsay.